Hi folks, this is Andy Skinner with Nebadawn.com and the RAMP program. This video is about automatic support and resistance lines on multiple time frames. There's a new feature in the RAMP program that allows you to scan for stocks close to support and or resistance lines on multiple time frames. That will be daily bars and then any number of days per bar beyond that. I'm going to refer to these scans as multiple time frame bob chart scans. Bob charts are nothing more than charts that show automatic support and resistance lines. They've been in the RAMP program for quite a long time, and many of you already know how to use them. With that, let's get started, and I'll show you how to set up the scans and read the color-coded trend lines. In step 1 is where you would select your data source. I'll just select the default free end-of-day data for US stocks, ETFs, and Forex. Step number 2, select a symbol list, and I'll hit the Russell 1000 large caps. So I have roughly 1,000 stocks to scan. In step 3, I'm going to use a bob chart scanner. So I'll click bob charts, and I'll set up my settings. Number of bars to analyze, 600. Number of lines to show. I'm going to leave it at 2 for right now, but I will change that in a moment. This will show 2 support lines and 2 resistance lines, and they are the closest 2 dominant lines for both time frames. And I'm going to use both daily and 10-day bars in my example. That would be 2 support and 2 resistance for 2 time frames, which gives me 4 support lines and 4 resistance lines, or 8 lines. The swing or pivot size, I'm going to set at 5. That's a good middle of the road number. If I just ran bob charts right now, I would get simply daily bob charts. For this exercise, I'm going to go to More, and I want to do multiple time frame bob charts. And that's under More is one of these custom scans. Here's the window where you set that up. In the multiple time frame bob chart window, I'll do my setup. Here's where I select the time frames I'd like to use. The top one is always the daily bars. And for daily bars, I'll select 2% from support and remove the resistance for right now. Again, the market's been bullish, so I probably won't find anything, but we'll see. I'll select 2 and remove the resistance. You would not want to search for both support and resistance on the same scan. However, the system will let you do it. You probably wouldn't find anything because they conflict with each other. In my secondary time frame, I've selected 10 bars. I'm just going to click on Start Scan and let it run, and we'll just see if anything is found. And as I expected, there were no results, but I went through that exercise because I wanted you to see this will happen to you. Now let's change our settings. I can set this percentage anything I want. I just happen to like 2% myself, so I'll leave it at 2% and I will start scan again. Okay, the scan is finished, and of my roughly 1,000 stocks, I found 21 that are within 2% of both daily and 10-day bar resistance levels. Let's take a look at WR Westar Energy. I'm going to use it to show you the colors of these lines and what they mean. Then I'll go back and rerun this scan with fewer lines, so it's not quite so busy. There are 4 colors. First, I'll zoom in, and I'm going to look at the daily bars first. In bob charts, and this is in other videos, so this is a review, a red line shown right here is a trend line on a daily bar. You can see it connects this point to this point in this case and extends out. And here's another smaller one right here. So this is support on a daily bar level. Now opposite any trend line is what I refer to as a reaction line. It is the other side of the channel formed by that trend line. And all you do to form a reaction line is find the furthest point away, which in this case is right here, and draw the parallel line. For daily bars, the reaction line, opposite side of the channel, is blue. So you're looking at red and dark blue for daily bars. Note there's a blue bar here. This is the opposite side of the channel from this point to this point. That would be a red line. But why isn't it shown? It's not shown because that's the third closest support level on a daily bar, and we only asked to see 2. Had I changed that in bob charts, you would have seen that line. This one is shown because it is one of the two closest resistance lines. It's important you understand that, and after you've done this, you'll get used to what the colors are and why the lines appear. Now I'm going to zoom back out. We also ask it to show us 2-week bars or 10-day bars. These would be the longer time frames. Here, in the case of a 10-day bar or longer time frame, whatever frame you selected, the trend line is cyan. When it connects this point and this point, extrapolates to here. Opposite every trend line is a reaction line, and for our 10-day bars, it is green. So you have cyan and green for the longer time frames, red and blue channels for the shorter time frames. Now you can see that we're looking at 4 colors here, and you understand what all of these colors mean. Because this gets really busy, I'm going to rerun this scan and turn this off. But let's just zoom in one more time. Here you can see you have a cyan line and a dark blue line. This is the dark blue would be daily. The cyan is the long-term 10-day bar reaction line. Also notice that it did stop the motion of this stock. Let's go back and remove some of the lines so that this gets easier to see. That's controlled right here, number of lines to show. I only want to see one support line and one resistance line now for daily bars and weekly bars. So that's a total of 4 lines. Now I'll go back up to more, and I'll rerun the same scan, same settings. Now I have fewer bars to look at. I'll let this scan complete. It'll probably take just about a minute to do that, and we'll look at the results. Our scan is finished now, and let's look at the same chart. Here's our West Star Energy. And you can see now some of the lines have dropped off because they are not the closest line, and so they're not as important to our analysis. I'm going to zoom in, and you can see we have a confluence of resistance right here. That's why it was picked up. The blue is a reaction line on the daily bars, and the green, of course, is a weekly trend line, which you can see right here. Because these are both within 2% of the price, that's why it was picked up and shown on the scan. I will tab through some of these very quickly, just so you can see a few results. Here's an interesting one. Cincinnati Financial has the cyan 10 days per bar trend line. There's its green reaction line, and here you can see recent price activity, which I can drag a window over and zoom in. And you can see there's a blue line, which is a reaction line, and that would have been to this trend line from this point to here. You can always tell. You look at the end of it, come down, and draw the trend line. Doesn't show because it's not the closest. In this case, the blue is the closest. But you see the confluence right here, and see that bar has stopped. In my mind, that's what stopped that bar. You have daily and 10-day bar. It may go further, but it's got to break through a strong resistance area. Here you have a red resistance line. That's a trend line on the daily, and it comes right together right over the price with a green reaction line from our 2-week bars. Well, that's an interesting chart. When I look at Hershey, I really doubt if it's going to go much above that without doing some kind of a correction. I urge you to just get used to the colors. The colors are very meaningful. The first time, a few times you run this, it might be a little confusing, but stick with it and you'll learn how to read these colors and see these support and resistance levels. With that, I'm going to wrap this video up. If you're a little confused about resistance and reaction lines, I've done other Bob chart videos, and I'll put the link in the closing page here. With that link, you can watch more videos on Bob charts. Thanks, this is Andy Skinner, and I'll see you in the next video.